Welcome to American English for English Learners. Have you ever listened to native speakers of American English and wondered why the words you hear do not always sound like the words you studied in a textbook? You may know the sentence, I am going to call her, but in natural conversation, it may sound more like, I'm going to call her. You may expect to hear did you, but native speakers often say something closer to Didja. This is called reduction. In American English, reductions are not mistakes, slang, or careless speech. They are systematic features of connected speech that help create natural rhythm, fluency, and listening comprehension. Reductions happen when certain words or sounds become shorter, weaker, or more blended, especially when they are unstressed. In this lesson, you will learn what reductions are, why they are so important, and how they appear in everyday American English. We will look at weak forms, contractions, flapping, linking, assimilation, and common expressions such as gonna, wanna, hafta, and should've. Most importantly, you will learn when reductions are appropriate, and when clear, full pronunciation is better. By the end of this video, you will better understand real American speech, improve your listening skills, and begin to sound more natural without sacrificing clarity. Let's begin.
Welcome to The Explainer. So if you've ever listened to a native speaker of American English and thought, wait, why do the words coming out of their mouth sound absolutely nothing like the words printed in the dictionary? Well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're deciphering spoken American English. We are going to completely bust the myth that fast, conversational English is just careless or lazy. In fact, it's governed by a highly specific, totally fascinating set of phonetic rules called reductions. Think of it kind of like cracking a secret code. All right, let's just dive right in. Take a look at the careful textbook form. I was going to call her. Now, contrast that with the authentic, everyday spoken form. I was going to call her. I actually want you to literally say both of those versions out loud right now, wherever you are. I was going to call her. I was going to call her. Do you feel how drastically different the mouth mechanics are? It's like a totally different dialect. But how exactly does the language get from point A to point B? Well, to figure that out, here is our roadmap. First, number 1, the spoken English mystery. Number 2, the engine, stress and schwa. Number 3, decoding the rules. 4, the master key, register. And finally, number 5, how to practice.
Section 1. The spoken English mystery. Why do words melt together?
As a learner, you spend years, literally years, carefully pronouncing every single vowel. But then you step into a fast-paced workplace, and suddenly all those crisp words just melt into a giant puddle of sound. Why does that happen? Well, it's because of reduction. Reduction is defined as a systematic weakening, shortening, or blending of speech in connected discourse. And honestly, that word systematic is the absolute key here. Reductions are not just lazy slang. They aren't poor articulation. They're actually a highly sophisticated, rule-governed feature of fluent speech. In fact, advanced speakers use them on purpose to make their speech easier to understand.
Moving to Section 2. The engine, stress and schwa.
So, English rhythm relies almost entirely on a pattern of prominence. Basically, we give loud acoustic stress to important content words, and we actively shrink down the grammar words. Take the phrase, I can do it. Right here, the word can is stressed for contrast or maybe emphasis. But if we change the focus to the main verb, it becomes I can do it. See that? The exact same word shrinks in connected speech. It loses its strong vowel, and that actually guides the listener's ear directly to the main action. The reduction acts as a spotlight for the most important information. But wait, when a vowel shrinks, what exactly does it shrink into? Enter the schwa. It's this very short, super relaxed, centralized vowel sound. Basically just a quick And it is the absolute engine behind spoken English. See, our brains expect these full, beautiful vowels based on how a word is spelled. But the reality is, the schwa swoops in and replaces those vowels in almost all of our unstressed syllables.
Let's see how this actually builds with some of the highest frequency words in the entire language. Notice how they shrink down to that single tiny schwa sound. 2 becomes ta, 4 becomes fur, of becomes of, and becomes un. So a phrase like a cup of tea isn't pronounced a cup of tea in natural speech. It's a cup of tea. The of almost completely vanishes into just a tiny breath of a schwa. Okay, Section 3. Decoding the rules. Now we're going to look at the specific phonetic codes that physically transform consonants and reshape the language in real time. The first major rule we have to talk about is called flapping.
This is a massive characteristic of American English. Flapping happens when a T or a D sound gets caught between two vowels, right before an unstressed syllable. Instead of a hard, crisp burst of air, your tongue just does a lightning-fast tap against the roof of your mouth. Take the careful form for a second, water. Now contrast that with the connected American form, water. Go ahead and try saying water out loud right now. Notice how your tongue physically bounces off the ridge behind your teeth? You don't stop the airflow for a hard T. It's just a quick, smooth flap. And this is exactly why writer and writer can sound practically identical in casual speech. Okay, our next rule is assimilation. Assimilation acts kind of like a magnifying glass on those invisible acoustic spaces between words. When we speak fluently, we obviously don't pause between every single word. They crash into each other. And when certain consonants collide at those boundaries, they mutate to become entirely new sounds. Just listen to these acoustic collisions, especially when you bring the word you into the mix. When a D hits a Y, it completely morphs. Did you becomes Didja. Would you becomes woulda. And when a T hits a Y, it changes too. Don't you becomes don'tcha. Now, we aren't inventing new slang words here. This is literally just the physical result of your vocal organs trying to move as efficiently as possible from one position to the next without stopping the motor. But, and this is a big but, all this efficiency brings us to a massive warning. Because we reduce the auxiliary verb have so heavily in spoken English, should have ends up sounding exactly like should have. Listen to me carefully though. Should have is a catastrophic spelling error. You absolutely cannot trust your ears when it comes to writing this grammar down. Even if your mouth casually says, I should have called, your pen must always write, I should have called. Standard formal writing absolutely does not tolerate reductions masquerading as grammar. Which brings us to section 4, the master key, register. Knowing how to physically flap a T or use a schwa, that's really only half the battle. To be truly fluent, you absolutely must know the sociolinguistic rules of when to use them. If you're writing an academic essay or giving a really formal presentation, the recommended reduction level is low. You want to articulate going to clearly. But if you're just at a coffee shop with friends, I'm gonna grab a drink is entirely natural and totally expected. However, in medical or safety contexts, zero reduction is recommended. You must not take both medications. Needs to be crisp and distinct, because clarity in that context is literally a matter of life and death. Finally, section 5, how to practice. So how do you actually safely apply these codes to your own English journey without picking up a bunch of bad habits? Well, here are the steps. First, notice. Listen to native audio and just mark what gets reduced. Second, discriminate. Train your ear to hear the difference between a full word and its weak form. Third, analyze the grammar behind it. Fourth, produce it slowly. Fifth, communicate with it in real conversations. And finally, monitor your register. The golden rule here is for sure to prioritize your listening recognition and your grammatical control long before you ever attempt to force these casual reductions into your own speech. It really all comes down to this core idea. The most advanced speaker is not the one who reduces everything, but the one who knows when reduction helps. I just love that. True fluency isn't about careless speed. It's about adaptability. It's about knowing exactly when to be casual to build rapport and when to be crisp to ensure absolute clarity. So, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge to end things off. Which spoken English code will you be listening for in your very next conversation? Are you going to keep an ear out for the quick American flap of a T? Will you hunt for that tiny relaxed schwa in unstressed words? Or will you listen for the collision of consonants in assimilation? Go out there, listen closely, and start decoding the beautiful rhythmic puzzle of spoken American English. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.
Before you go, be sure to download the clean printable PDF that goes with this lesson. The link is located in the video description. You can use it for further practice, review, note-taking, and independent study as you continue improving your listening, pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency in American English. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who are learning American English.